Everybody wants this. Everybody wants to be us. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Even now, in late December, ChatGPT has their foot on the gas, releasing new image generation tools. They have an app store they just announced, plus big news about the Oscars moving to YouTube in 2029. Gemini 3 Flash is out, Reels is trying to get on your TV, and yes, slop is the word of the year. This episode is brought to you by Udacity, Masterclass, and all of you, the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, and joining me from the Winter Wonderland, my friend Jason. How's it going, Jason?
It's a very wet winter wonderland. Try saying that.
It's been melting.
But it's going to get real cold real soon. We're going to be in the worst part of Narnia soon.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Frozen Ice Queen part.
The Ice Queen part. Okay. Well, we actually have news. I do want to thank one 5-star reviewer. Mike Stanley says it's a fantastic podcast. Happy to support it. Default browser Safari. I've had people messaging me since our last episode, Jason. They said, thank you for defending Safari.
Yeah, the YouTube comments about this. I want to be clear. I didn't say it's a sucky browser. It's possible I said that. But what I'm trying to say is it's not a great browser. And I do want to say something about this, if you don't mind.
No, please.
Every argument for Safari is...
correct.
No, hold on. I like Safari. I probably have it open.
I'm trying to get you more
Every
trouble.
argument people made for Safari was, well, the web moves really fast and Apple just tends to be take longer to implement standard. Yes, that's the point, is that if suddenly all of our roads are made out of water and your car didn't float, you can't blame the roads. You can't blame... your car is not good for that environment. So the point I'm trying to make is yes, Safari tends to take longer to adopt standards, which means that if the websites that you use, people are like, well, those developers shouldn't implement them so fast. I'm sorry, talk to every all 4 billion developers on the web and tell them to stop implementing all these things so that Safari will work on every website. That's just not how the world works. So you need a browser that basically just works. And since everyone designs their websites for Chrome, I refuse to use Chrome, so I use Brave. I also like Safari. I really should one of these times make a note every time I open a browser and open a web page and keep track of why I'm doing what, because there are certain things I will just open Safari for. If I'm looking at Instagram on the web, I open Safari. If I'm opening Facebook, two things I try to do very infrequently, I will do it in Safari. But anytime I'm doing work or looking for stuff, it's all in Chrome.
I'm glad we get to argue about browsers 2 minutes into the show. I think this is a good use of time.
You brought it up. You brought up all the feedback. And I'm saying it doesn't suck, but the argument is...
Mike Stanley, our review, said default browser Safari.
Okay, go ahead.
No. So two things. One, I think people pointed out that Chrome, the web is designed for Chrome because Chrome has the market share. And so the double-edged sword of the reason why so many apps come to iPhone first is because iPhone has at least the market share here in the US where a lot of apps are developed, but also it's just a platform that typically gets apps first, even app features like Threads or whatever. And so the reason why iPhone gets it first is the same reason why Chrome might be quote unquote better for a lot of websites, because web developers are going to target Chrome because of the market share, because it's just the web browser that the entire world uses. So that is one reason why. The web is designed for Chrome. It's just not that's what the web browser is designed for. Second, people did point out the privacy and security aspect of Safari, which is another double-edged sword, because I've had to show friends how to turn off iCloud Private Relay because it wasn't letting them use the internet sometimes. And so that it's nice that you get the privacy and security through Apple, but you also have to sometimes figure out why a website won't load. Now, I like Safari because for 90% of my use cases, it's really fast, it feels lightweight, and all the features that are in the Apple walled garden are nice. I did a whole video on Safari profiles once that came out, and I understand Chrome has profiles, Edge has profiles. I like Safari's implementation, how it works with tab groups. I do like reader mode and being able to do that quickly. I like the built-in picture-in-picture mode, all the share and shortcut stuff, which is all built into Safari. So I have the preference. I understand that Chrome, I guess it's not that it's a better web browser. It's that the web is designed for Chrome. And that's why, and I still think certain websites like Squarespace, I use this example because it's the one I'm in all the time. That's what my website is built on. I will edit it in Safari most of the time. And then when I run into a place where it just freezes or something like dragging a WYSIWYG block to build a web page just breaks, I'll go over to Chrome because that's where and I actually don't go over to Chrome. I'll go over to Brave because that's where I use it. So anyway, that's all.
Sorry, I just wanted to just be clear that if your
That was
argument,
good.
not yours, but if someone's argument is like, well, it's Safari's the best browser in the entire universe, it's not their fault that the web doesn't work on it. I'm like, actually, yes. Now, maybe people shouldn't be like building websites with certain types of things, but again, I'm just whatever. I like Safari. I don't hate it. I just don't use it as much as I use Brave. So that's all.
My only qualm with Safari is on the iPad. Apple has said it's a desktop browser for the last 4 years, and it is definitely not.
Correct.
The iPad Safari version is still iPad version. And you can go to fourthwall.com, which is the website I use to make my shortcuts merch. And it's very clear, like, they won't even let you, like, do anything there.
Yeah. They're like, dude, you have to get on the internet first, buddy. And you're like, it's Safari.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Mike Stanley, the rest of his review was battery percentage on. So there you go. He won you right after that. And he's trying
I
to
feel like we talked about this before, but I've learned that there is no technology orthodoxy. Right? Because you and I have different opinions on all of these things, and no one agrees with either of us on everything. It's
I
crazy.
think more people agree with me, but that's to be argued. I'm going to ask
That is what a
ChatGPT.
narcissist would say. I'm sorry.
Wow. I'm just going to ask ChatGPT in agent mode, the Atlas Browser. Scroll through all our reviews. Who is more right for that? Also, a couple like community questions or things. One was a Mastodon post. I thought it'd be interesting. I don't know if you have thoughts, but I wanted to tell our audience and see if they had any thoughts. This is from L. Brown on Mastodon. I'm a phone enthusiast being hassled by big phone. eSIM is killing me. Switching between iPhone Air and 17 Pro Max is a hassle involving contacting the carrier every time. Now they want to charge $3 for each switch. I just want to say I have experienced this when I've tried to like move a line to test an Android phone that AT&T has, and then like my next bill, it's like $60 in activation fees. It's like, what? I didn't even talk to you. Like I literally just went on the AT&T website to move the SIM. And so he was asking, what are carriers that make it easy to move something like an eSIM? He mentioned he tried AT&T, Visible, and he's trying Mint, but I guess even then they get charged. And so I was curious, Jason, you switched iPhones a couple times. I think you're on a traditional carrier, but do you get charged like that activation fee when you move it around?
This is a thing I don't fully understand because I never pay an activation fee. I can't remember the last time I paid an activation fee was when we upgraded our daughters to iPhone 16s, and it's because we got them for free from the carrier, right? I just activated an iPhone 17 Pro. I walked into the Apple store. I said, "Here's $1,200." Whatever. I didn't say here's $1,200. I said, "Here's my money."
Slapped it on the table.
Give me an iPhone 17 Pro, and they gave me an iPhone 17 Pro, and then I went into the iPhone 17 Pro and I, did the whole setup thing, and it said, "Do you want to move your number over from the backup?" And I said yes, and it just did it. And my phone is on Verizon. I didn't talk to Verizon. I didn't tell Verizon. I didn't go to Verizon's website. I didn't do a magic incantation to get the eSIM to move. I literally just set up the phone from a backup, and the iPhone will ask you, "Do you want to move your eSIM?" I'm on my other SIM, which is a Google Fi SIM, which doesn't matter. That's just T-Mobile, right? But it's just like it's just Google Fi. All you do is you open the Google Fi app, and it'll say, "Do you want to move the SIM to this phone?" And you say yes, and it does it. So like, you should never pay. If you go to an Apple store or you go to a carrier store and you buy a phone, you will pay an activation fee. And it's insane that you have to do that, but that's what's going to happen. But if you just go to Apple and you say, "Sell me an unlocked phone," and you just take that phone, you don't talk to anyone. You don't tell them what you're going to do with it. I
think that's the problem. Like as soon as you talk to someone at the carrier, it's like it's like a
they
caddy.
don't need to know. And Verizon,
$30.
if I log into my Verizon, it knows I have a new phone, but they didn't because they didn't do the activation, so they don't get to charge me the service fee. So like I would never ever ever go through the carrier for doing that. And I know carriers give you the best deals, but they like also then charge you these stupid fees that are pointless. So I would say like our main phones are all on Verizon, and I switch my SIM a lot, right? Because I'm constantly changing phones, and I do not pay activation fees any of the times I do that. But also, I just wanted to say, eSIMs are actually insanely easy to move. You do not need your carrier. In the US, you don't need your carrier to do that. The iPhone will just do it. When you set up your phone, it'll ask you to move the eSIM.
It depends on your phone. because when I got the Pixel 8 Pro, I tried to move my AT&T line from like an iPhone 14 test device to the Pixel 8, and sometimes going from iPhone to Android, it wouldn't let me move the eSIM on my own. Like, I could go to the AT&T website. I could even say, like, do you want to move your eSIM? I would say yes. And it required me to actually go into the store, or I could have called, but I actually wanted to transition it to a physical SIM card at the time so I could literally move it between phones, and then there's no activation fee. But as L. Brown would say, like, there's no SIM cards on a lot of phones, especially no iPhones. So maybe Verizon does not charge you for that. I know AT&T has charged me, and that's who L. Brown has said. Even when you do it yourself, even when it's like, I want to move my eSIM from this iPhone 17 to an iPhone Air, sometimes that $30 charge will just appear. I guess you could try to contest it. But all that to say, you mentioned Google Fi. That was the one carrier that I have used across devices. It has been the most platform agnostic, meaning I can move it to an iPhone, I can move it to my Nothing 3A, I can move it back and forth, and I've never got an activation fee, and I can do it myself because you just download the Google Fi app on both devices, and it basically lets you move it. So my recommendation for L. Brown or anyone that wants to try moving eSIMs more often, Google Fi is a nice option. Apparently Verizon maybe will let you do it without being charged. For me, I know AT&T has been kind of a pain in the butt in the past, and so I don't move it. Now, iPhone to iPhone, it's fine. You know, if you're like upgrading an iPhone or moving an iPhone, like a used to a used iPhone, like I've not been charged for that, but sometimes going between Android devices, it gets a little squirrely.
Well, and so, okay, maybe to answer the question. Also, by the way, I can't believe we didn't have it in the rundown, but
What was that?
But Google and Apple are making this easier. They're like literally building into their operating system, making it easier to transfer from one to the other. Each of them currently have apps, right? iOS has an app to transfer from Google, and Google Play has an app to transfer from your iPhone. And it's like, it's as simple as like bringing them next to, like, it's crazy how they've done it, but now it's actually going to be baked in, and we can talk about that in a second. But to answer the question, maybe Google Fi is the answer.
Yeah,
because the Google Fi app just lets you tap a thing, and it's like, do you want to download the SIM onto this phone? And you're like, yep. And you actually used to have to, after you did that, go in and manually type in some settings, and you don't have to do that anymore.
No,
it just does the whole thing. So maybe if your question is like, what's the best one to do to transfer stuff? It's Google Fi.
Yeah, I think Google Fi is the answer. And yes, I didn't even have it in the rundown, but iOS 26.3 beta 1 came out. Not a ton of features, but one big one is this Android transfer that's going to be like built into the OS. And transfer to Android will let you actually move things like your messages and contacts, which is pretty wild. So yeah, they're working closer and closer together. And also, in the 26.3 is going to have this notification forwarding feature. So if you don't want notifications to appear on Apple Watch, or decide that. So I'm curious how that's going to work. But anyway, yeah, transfer to Android. So there you go. All right, and last, this is not follow-up, but this is something that I posted online because nobody believed me. Is the auto brightness toggle on my iPhone is gone. This was when I updated to 26.2 on my 17 Pro Max. I toggle the auto brightness every time I record a video because I don't want my screen brightness changing while I'm filming. And so I turn auto brightness off. I have a shortcut that takes me right to that settings pane, and it's gone. I don't have any auto brightness. I can ask the voice assistant to turn auto brightness on or off, and it'll literally like show me the little toggle, like it comes down in a notification, but it's not there. And so people were accusing me, like this one person, he was like, this is a clever post that uses a screenshot to make the reduced white point the final option, thereby compelling engagement. Is that person AI? Do you think
that's super an AI? There's 0%. Like, yeah, there's no way that's real.
And yeah, so anyway, I did a screen recording, but I just want to show for the world here on YouTube, and if you're listening, you can jump over just to see this moment. But this is my accessibility display and brightness settings. Auto brightness is supposed to be the bottom option, and it's not there. Reduce white point is there at the bottom. There is no auto brightness. Now, if I do the voice assistant and I say, toggle off auto brightness, it'll do it, and there's the setting. It even shows me the toggle there. I can even toggle it back on from that little notification that slides down. For some reason, the setting's not there. Obviously, it's a bug. Seems like a very odd bug for a setting that just kind of disappears. So
I wonder if you have something else toggled somewhere else in settings that eliminates that option.
I thought about that, but I've played around with a lot of accessibility settings because, for shortcuts and different features or whatever. And I don't think I have anything. Anyway, I'll look.
It's really hard to troubleshoot because you literally have to go through every single setting and toggle it off, and then go back to that one and see if it's there, and then go back and change it and tackle the next one. It's not going to work.
And what's weird is like even if I search for auto brightness in the settings, it'll show me auto brightness as a search result. And so, but if I tap it, it brings me to that same accessibility page, and it's not there. So it's just the weirdest bug. I'm not on a beta. This is 26.2, like the public release. So anyway, I just want to get that bug out there so people don't think I'm crazy. All right, let's talk about some actual news, because there's been big news last week after the show aired, and then even this week. And this, I think, was, I don't know, one of the biggest. The Oscars announced that starting in 2029, they're going to air live on YouTube. They're leaving ABC after whatever, 50 years?
Yeah, roughly 50 years.
Roughly 50 years. It'll be the 100th Oscars celebration. That's going to be the last one airing on ABC. And then starting in 2029, I believe it's a 3-year deal, YouTube is going to have the rights to air the Oscars. This feels pretty wild. One, it feels like the streaming world and mainstream entertainment is merging. And we're going to talk about Netflix in a second. But, I mean, the Oscars exclusively streaming on YouTube is pretty wild. 2, this is not part of the announcement, but a theory. I wonder if by 2029 there's going to be a category in the Academy Awards for YouTubers, where there will be a category for either like YouTuber of the Year, or maybe YouTube will start releasing like feature films. And I'm sure there's already like films on there from like independent filmmakers. But I wonder if there's going to be an Oscar specifically in a YouTube category by 2029. We still have 3 years before we see it. I think the Oscars are usually like February or whatever every year, but I don't know.
That's definitely not going to happen.
You don't think so?
There's 0% chance. Well, you have to be a part of the Academy to be a part of it. Like,
well,
YouTubers are not a part of the Motion Picture Arts and Science Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Like, that's just not a thing.
But in the next 3 years, YouTube could announce some kind of
0% chance that's going to happen.
You think so?
No, there's no way. These people.
Hold on,
this
let me
is the group of people who are literally. It's a cartel. Like, come on, like.
Okay.
And here's what's weird about this. I think this is huge news. Also, does anybody care about the Oscars anymore? Like, find me a person under the age of 40 who watches the Oscars ever.
It is definitely a bigger thing for YouTube to say we have the Oscars than for the Oscars anything.
No, see, I would argue it's the other way around, because the ratings for the Oscars have been going down for years and years and years and years and years and years, and that's just going to continue across all of television. What YouTube is offering, I can't even believe that. I think we don't know the exact terms of the deal. I can't even believe that YouTube paid for this. I honestly think that the Oscars should have just been like, if you can bring us an audience and give us the AdSense split, we'll do it.
We'll take the AdSense.
Because I think the audience was like 15 million last year, which was like up from previous years, but is super down from its all-time high, right?
So this is the Oscars ratings, the long decline. In 2010, or even in 2014, it was at 43.7 million viewers. And now just 10 years later, well, during COVID, it went down to 10 million. And last year, I guess it was at about 20 million.
Yeah, and so it's not coming back, is I guess the point, right? No. If it goes up, it's only because there's something interesting, or people like the host, or people like the host and wanted to see what the host is going to say.
People like seeing TikTok clips of people reacting to the Oscars more than watching the Oscars.
Well, that's a whole other thing we could talk about sometime. Reaction clips is just a bizarre genre of thing. But
I love it.
It's
side note,
but it's not art. Because it's like you're just piggybacking off of what someone else is doing, and you're just trying to anyway. So
wait a minute. I cannot let that slide.
Okay. Why?
Because I see people on TikTok and Instagram after like the Met Gala, which I watch 0 minutes of, but I will watch 5-minute TikToks of people like commenting, and they are creating something original because it's hilarious. The Met Gala did not give, all Met Gala gave are like people wearing weird outfits, and they are creating entertainment from it. And the words they are saying are original, and whether it's improvised or whether they plan their jokes or whatever, like it is hilarious. I don't see the same thing for like the red carpet on the Oscars or whatever. And also, it's literally what we're doing right now. Like we are taking news from the week and commenting on it and making it either informative, entertaining, or analysis or whatever. So I would say like, is it art?
I wouldn't call those reaction clips, though.
What do you call it? Commentary?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
that's
think
fine.
what we're doing is reaction clips, Steven.
No,
I don't think
but
what the guys on ESPN are doing is reaction clips. I think there's a huge difference between that.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
But my point was, I can't believe that YouTube had to pay for this, because this is the only reason that Oscars are going to continue to exist in a format that we can watch, is because YouTube can do a thing that linear television cannot, which is find you an audience. What do you think YouTube? The top of every single person's algorithmic feed that night is going to be, and then it's going to be a whole bunch of clips cut together of this
and
is
also
the
comments.
best.
You can see comments.
This is the best thing that could possibly happen to the Oscars.
Right.
And so at this one side, I feel like, who cares? It's the Oscars. It's just not important. The Oscars is the least important social thing, period, because it's just like Hollywood celebrating itself, right? Which doesn't matter to real people's lives. And so, but I also think it's super important, because what it basically just said was, we talked about this, was it last week or the week before? I think there's going to be 4 streaming services. By the way, I was super happy to hear that Ben Thompson agreed with me. He didn't agree with me, but he interviewed, what's the guy from Moffett-Nathanson, about the Netflix Warner Brothers deal, and they agree there's going to be 4 streaming services. They think there's going to be Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and then whatever survives from Peacock or Paramount Plus or whatever. I said it's going to be Apple TV. I understand Apple TV is not in the same league as Netflix. I get that. It has great shows, but it is not. It does not have the same volume of content. It does not have the same audience, but it has infinity money. It's going to be fine. It's going to be around. Apple doesn't need subscribers. It doesn't need to make money. It's just a prestige thing for them to put on their services division, whatever. The thing we left off is YouTube, right?
Correct.
YouTube, with this, I think it makes clear that YouTube has won the streaming wars without even having to participate with the same business model, because the Oscars did not go to Amazon Prime. They did not go to Netflix. They did not go to ABC, which is Disney. They went to YouTube. And what they basically said is, we would rather have audience and the opportunity to monetize audience than get a paycheck from somebody for I think that calculus we're going to see that more and more and more. And actually, I mean, technically YouTube does have a paid streaming service, right? YouTube Premium. It's by far the best paid streaming service you can pay for.
Everybody says it on social media.
It's by far the best.
Yeah.
But I think that was it's roughly, YouTube Premium is roughly 20%, I believe, or 25% of YouTube's revenue. So it's not nothing, but also Netflix and YouTube make about the same amount of money. They're like 45 million or $1 billion businesses.
Interesting.
YouTube can do without the subscribers. Netflix obviously cannot.
Right. So I'm going to throw 2 other news bits in here, because then I want to talk about the larger conversation that you just mentioned of who is the streaming wars actually between. But several pieces of news was that Netflix is getting video podcasts, several of them, pulling them from YouTube. So these are shows, video podcasts, that are no longer going to publish their full-length video versions on YouTube. They'll still post clips there or whatever, but the full-length video podcast are going to be on Netflix. This is My Favorite Murder and The Breakfast Club. And then just yesterday, Dave Portnoy released, I was like, oh, he's just in a Christmas sweater in front of a restaurant. He must be talking about pizza. No, he's talking about how Barstool is moving all their shows to Netflix as well. And this, again, there's been lots of rumors that Netflix is getting into video podcasts. They have a deal with Spotify where several podcasts from Spotify are going to be Netflix exclusives, all that kind of stuff. It's clear, and this is what I posted after all this news. The streaming wars are between, like you were saying, it's Netflix, it's YouTube, and it's Apple TV. And I didn't mention Disney Plus in my post with that theory, and people were quick to point out, Disney Plus is in the ring. And I was thinking about it. The framing is what are the streaming platforms? What are the entertainment platforms that are culturally relevant / affecting culture? And obviously YouTube is one, because just the world is on YouTube. Netflix still has the cultural moments, whether it is Wednesday or the Stranger Things finale. I see on Reels and TikTok, people are making memes of right after they open Christmas presents, they're going straight to Stranger Things because that's when the final whatever is airing. So Netflix, I think, still has those cultural moments. And I think funnily enough, I think of all the streaming services, I think Apple TV does it. Now, Disney Plus has all the IP forever. It has Star Wars, it has Marvel, it has all of that. But and when it comes to like kids, you have, Lilo and Stitch, like there's lots of moments that create there. But like when you look at like the high level, like what is culture, I think the Oscars have become less so. I think it was like one of those main events of the culture. And now, I don't see Disney doing that. I mean, another show we're going to talk about later, like Disney made a deal with OpenAI to license their IP to Sora to generate AI videos. They're on that, like doing that, which I don't think is a point for like cultural relevance. But I see people mentioning Pluribus in TikTok comments as like what a video feels like or whatever. And Severance was a cultural moment. Ted Lasso, less so, but was a cultural moment. And now Pluribus is one too. Also, Apple TV Plus Apple TV, F1, huge deal for next year. All the live events and all of that. Plus it has soccer, plus it has baseball, and who knows what other deals that's going to come from that. Also the immersive basketball stuff next year. So anyway, when it comes to like cultural relevancy, what are the big platforms? It feels like Netflix, YouTube, and Apple TV are the ones in the fight for the TV in the living room. And while Disney Plus will be there forever, especially if you have kids, like the main event, the main fight is between Netflix, YouTube, and Apple TV. Agree, disagree?
Hard disagree. Sorry.
Hard disagree?
No, listen. I was just the whole time you were talking, I had to write things down because all I was thinking is, okay, good. Now Jason gets to be Jason for just a minute, which is Apple TV is not relevant to anybody who doesn't pay attention to Apple. Like, I promise you, if you ask 1,000 normal people, they've never heard of Pluribus.
Ted Lasso. Severance?
Ted Lasso. That's it. I promise you, Steven, like in the real world, I've never had a conversation where somebody that wasn't already like in our circle has been like, man, that Severance season finale, like it was amazing. Like it's just not culturally relevant.
You're not on TikTok though, man. Like
but you're just being fed on TikTok an algorithm that TikTok thinks is relevant to you. It is not a universal thing.
But there are moments when like a meme reaches a level of like universality. Like even right now, there's a clip of John Hamm from the Apple TV show All Your Friends and Neighbors, and it's John Hamm like dancing in a club, and like that meme is everywhere on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and people are asking what show is this from, but I think you never hear that about a Disney Plus show. Like you don't see a Disney Plus or Hulu show create that kind of cultural meme moment.
Well, okay, so but I still disagree. I think that the algorithms feed us what it believes is our circle because I've never seen that anywhere. And I forgot John Hamm had a show on Apple TV, right? Like I remember the commercial where he's like, why is everybody getting a show on Apple TV and I'm not?
Yes.
But like people are like, why is the Madman guy mad about Apple TV? I don't even understand. But
it's
like
a good show, by the way.
All I'm saying is I think that Apple TV is not culturally relevant the way that Netflix is. I super agree. And that YouTube is and the TikTok is. I think it's great. I think it will stick around and I think it will succeed because what it needs to do for Apple is completely different than for the other streaming services.
Right.
Disney, however, the reason you have to include Disney in there is the measure of success for a streaming service is not cultural relevance. It's engagement time. And Disney Plus has all of the content. Like it just does. It has all of Star Wars, all of the Marvel universe. It has all of Disney, like friggin' Disney. You said unless you have kids. A lot of people have kids, Steven.
No, I know, but like
and I promise you that when we sit down at night to watch a movie together, we don't, because we have kids, the first thing we open is Disney Plus. And then we realize we've watched all the movies four times.
So that right there, what is the original content that Disney has made?
And we still pick one.
I know, fair, but what is the original content that Disney has put out in the last 3 years that actually made it mainstream?
I mean, The Mandalorian was pretty mainstream.
Not the last season. Like, when it first came out. But that's what I'm saying.
The last season of every television show is terrible. I promise you.
No, but I'm saying the last 3 years. Like, they have all the IP. They've released a ton of stuff. I mean, Andor might have been the closest, but it's nowhere near, like, the level that Netflix shows or whatever has got.
I mean, okay.
But I think that points to the future. Like, is Disney coming out? Like, I've not even heard what Disney is coming out with original content that's going to be amazing.
I mean, they do keep making Percy Jackson movies. So there's that. And you can
sure.
joke about that, but it's true. Like, I bet you that the metrics on that are better than we think. I just don't care about it. Also, Disney has Bluey. Like there are things that
but
we
that's
don't,
not-
and that's culturally relevant. Anyway, my point is simply, I don't think cultural relevance, it's fun to talk about. I don't think that is the metric by which I mean,
But I think there is a correlation, and I think even into causation, where as cultural relevancy declines, so does the platform's profitability and user base. Look at the Oscars; its relevance declined. And
no, but that's because it required. There's a difference though, because that required eyeballs on the screen at the time in order to get advertisers to pay a certain amount of money. That is not the metric that Disney Plus needs. Right?
Sure.
They just need to keep people paying $14.99 a month or whatever, and Verizon will give it you for free or whatever. Like, that's not actually true. But so like having the library of content, and when you can add to that library things like Inside Out 2, which is like the most successful animated film of all time, right? Like people keep watching those types of things. Anyway, you have to put Disney Plus if you're going to put Apple TV.
I get it. Well, yes.
And the other one you left off is Amazon. Infinity money and live
people
sports.
but people said Amazon. If Amazon Prime Video was not a part of the main Amazon subscription, I don't think it would be part of the conversation. Because like you said, no one pays for Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but they have more subscribers than Netflix.
But the metric is like whoever pays for Amazon Prime. That doesn't mean like who watches it.
Then you can't include YouTube.
Because it's free?
I'm just saying you're comparing things with different business models, so they have different measures of success. But Amazon is scooping up live sports.
But see, I guess because my argument was not the business models. It was who's in the fight for time on your living room TV.
In football.
Sure.
I mean, really, it's football. Amazon has got, like, they're going to get NBA games. Like, you can't discount that. And the reason they can do it is they can just pour money into it, and they will just keep pouring money into it, and they can buy content to put in, they don't have a lot of original content necessarily, except for they own MGM now. Right. Like,
well, they have some IP, and I don't know, they might blow the 007 franchise, but
there's a better than 50% chance that they will blow
they're going to blow it.
By the way, Disney, culturally relevant. They had the Eras tour, which was pretty culturally relevant at the time.
Yeah, but Disney didn't make that.
So Netflix doesn't make anything on
Netflix.
They
Stranger Things. They
don't make it. It's a Netflix original because it's their property, but they didn't make it.
The Disney didn't make the Eras tour either.
Right. So what I'm saying is that's the same thing. Sorry, this is the worst podcast ever because Steven and I are just like way down a rabbit hole.
But I feel like we're having two different arguments. But I'll have to sharpen my argument here. But anyway, it's clear that Netflix is trying to, obviously they're getting video podcasts. It's interesting that Netflix, which has never had user-generated content, is now trying to get more of that. And YouTube, which is all user-generated content, is now trying to get more of like the Oscars or whatever. And so, I don't know. It's interesting to see where that's going to play out. Apple TV will never get user-generated content.
Well, the one difference about that, though, is Netflix is paying for the user-generated content, which YouTube does not do. Right? They are paying for those podcasts. Sure. And the interesting thing is going to Netflix sounds great, but it would be a terrible way to grow a podcast. YouTube is the way to grow a podcast nowadays, more so than putting it on Apple Podcasts, whatever.
You just need to really start another argument, but I'm not going to wait.
No, but it's true though. Like it is the place where you get an audience for something, and then because the only shows that are going to go to Netflix, first of all, the only shows Netflix cares about are the really big ones,
huge shows, yeah.
But that is the only point at which it becomes
viable,
worth it to go to Netflix, because for anyone else, your upside is way bigger on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, if our show was one of the only tech shows on Netflix, maybe that would gain an audience because it's a little more distribution.
Right. It's just like Netflix would not have to pay us very much. I'll just tell you.
That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Netflix deal. Right now.
Mr. Netflix.
Call us.
We'll take $1 million. Well, $2 million. So we each get $1 million. Yeah, maybe $4 million. So after taxes. Anyway. It's going to be interesting to see the landscape. This is not till 2029 that YouTube is getting Oscars, so we still have a few years to see this, but just curious how these platforms are evolving. I don't know. And we'll see. I wrote down here in our Notion, Jason predicted the Oscars will not have a YouTube category. So hopefully when we search a Notion 3 years from now, I can return to that prediction.
Steven, I get that everyone wants to be like us.
The Golden Globes has a podcast. Oh, I never asked you about the
right.
quote.
You asked me the most famous quote from a movie, and you think I'm not going to get it?
What is it?
The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay, good job.
You asked, like, literally, that is the quote from that movie. You
got
to try a little harder.
Okay, I'll try a little harder. Well, it actually gave me some quotes, but the Google AI overview, I think, was making them up.
It's like when you said nature finds a way. Like, you got to give me something a little bit more nuanced.
It's life finds a way,
Oh,
Jason.
well, I even blew it. Sorry.
Yeah, life finds a way.
My point is,
Yes.
you asked me the most famous quote from that movie.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a famous quote. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Is that a Disney property? Yeah, I think it is.
Devil Wears Prada? I don't think Disney made it. But
No,
I don't know.
Disney. Yeah,
You're just confused because she also plays Cruella de Vil.
no. Get out of here.
They're the same character, basically.
Also, Anne Hathaway was Catwoman in A Dark Knight. So, that's Netflix WB. Which, did I put that in here? Anyway, it looks like Netflix is getting WB, right? Like that Paramount hostile bid is not.
Well, they rejected it, but it's a hostile bid, which means the shareholders can vote on it.
Right. And the Warner Brothers is like, no, don't listen to that bid. That's the devil on the one shoulder. We want Netflix. So anyway. Well, this is a great time, I think, to take a break so we can talk about ChatGPT and OpenAI for 30 minutes. So we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by Udacity. You probably heard my story a couple months ago of me vibe coding an app. I was able to do one app, but then when I tried to do a little more complex app, it just could not work. And even all the AI tools couldn't get me to where I can ship an actual app. Well, Udacity is the platform where you can go and actually learn to do something for real. And I actually checked it out. They actually have an iOS and Swift learning course. And so if I really want to get that app off the ground, I can finish that and actually learn how to do it legitimately. So instead of wasting your time scouring YouTube or prompting ChatGPT trying to figure out how to do something, Udacity removes the guesswork so you can learn what you need to know and nothing that you don't. When you learn with Udacity, you're not just passively watching videos or reading articles, you're doing practical exercises and projects that prepare you for the job you want. That's why 90% of Udacity graduates say that they achieved their enrollment goal. And if you're looking to gain skills that's actually marketable, that you can use in your career and be competitive in the job market, Udacity is where you can learn those skills, whether it's AI, app development, and a ton more. Udacity just launched a master's degree in AI for under $5,000. You can get your Master of Science in AI. You heard that right, a fraction of the cost of traditional degree programs. And as much as I might like to learn quick things on YouTube or maybe ask an AI how to do something, when you want to sit down and actually gain skills for life, gain skills for your career, I still think a systematic learning platform like Udacity is the way to go. The tech field is always evolving, and you should be too. You can try Udacity risk-free for 7 days. Head to udacity.com/primary and use code PRIMARY for 40% off your order. Once again, that's udacity.com/primary for 40% off, and make sure you use our promo code PRIMARY so they know that we sent you. Thanks to Udacity for sponsoring this episode. And our friends at Masterclass. Speaking about learning something new, Masterclass is the way to do it. It's enjoyable to watch. I love listening to them like podcasts. You can use the Masterclass app on your iPhone, switch between video and audio. So jump in your car and you can listen to a lesson just like a podcast. And I've talked about a lot of courses that I've done in the past. I've done the Hans Zimmer course. I've seen Gordon Ramsay, Questlove from The Roots, Yo-Yo Ma, and Creativity. But there's one that I'm going to use going into the holidays, and that's Ryan Holiday is actually on Masterclass teaching about stoicism and being present. I actually read Ryan Holiday's book, Stillness is the Key, but seeing him in a video format, listening to him on Masterclass, I think brings it to another level. And if you're looking to hopefully reduce some stress this holiday season, learn to be more present, maybe with your family, with your kids, then I would recommend that Ryan Holiday Masterclass as well. Plans start at just $10 a month, billed annually, and you get unlimited access to over 200 classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, and more. I actually saw Amy Poehler now has a masterclass. Turn your commute or workout into a classroom with that audio mode like I was talking about, and Masterclass fits right into your schedule with thousands of short, easy-to-digest lessons you can learn from on your own time. And you can learn wherever you are. They have a great app on Apple TV. They have the app on your iPhone, iPad, Android, or just watch in the web. And there's no risk. Every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you're headed on a trip, like during the holidays, download classes to watch offline and make the most of your travel time. 88% of surveyed members feel that Masterclass has made a positive impact on their lives. Masterclass always has great offers during the holidays, sometimes up to as much as 50% off. So head over to masterclass.com/primarytech for their current offer. That's up to 50% off at masterclass.com/primarytech. That link is also in the episode description. Masterclass.com/primarytech. Our thanks to Masterclass for sponsoring this episode.
You can cut that whole thing if you want, Steve.
That was brilliant. I think that was great. That was great. All right, so ChatGPT, of all the tech companies here at the end of the year, still has their foot on the gas. This came out right after we recorded last week's episode, or it came out on Friday, I think. But Disney has a landmark agreement with Sora, OpenAI. So you're going to see Disney characters in AI-generated videos. It's going to be more than 200 Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars characters. This seems like wild to me. Like, is this Disney being relevant?
Well, no. Okay. To be clear, you are going to see Disney characters in
Either way.
AI-generated videos regardless. What's happening now is Disney is not going to sue OpenAI over that, and they're going to get paid, right? And they're investing into OpenAI and
$1 billion
and get an equity stake in OpenAI, so that like when those videos go viral, like the interesting thing here is putting a Disney character in a Sora video doesn't make OpenAI any money. It actually costs it more money because video is a hard thing for it to generate. It just takes energy and whatever. So, but I just think I spent a lot of time thinking about this, more time than I should, because I'm like, Disney is paying $1 billion to let OpenAI use its characters that it will then pay Disney for. I'm like, but when you have to spend that much time thinking about it, it's pretty clear. Like, so wait, this is actually a bubble, right? Like, this is just a circular pool of money moving around. It's like, we're going to give you $1 billion so that you can give it back to us 74 cents at a time when people use our characters in your videos.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Have you scrolled Sora since we talked about it on this show?
I have not even opened Sora since the last time we talked about it.
I see Sora videos on TikTok and Reels because I see the watermark blurred out, and I see people reacting to videos because they can't tell it's fake. And I've seen more and more people reporting on, like, listen, here's an Instagram account. It's called Inspirational Women, and every reel is seemingly a woman on a podcast. Has 1 million followers on Instagram, tons of comments, lots of people supporting it. Every video is AI generated.
Yeah. And
it's like, you could create an account that actually shares real clips of real people saying things, but you've generated AI video, and now that kind of stinks. So
how do you feel, Stephen? This is a real question about Neil Mohan, the CEO of YouTube, saying the future of YouTube is AI generated video.
I think that is antithetical to then getting the Oscars. Like, I think he says that because AI is the buzzword. I don't think he's staking YouTube on that, because no other brand, I find, has more events and does more parties and does more get-togethers with flesh and blood people. Like the entire, like Renee Ritchie's account, the YouTube creators account, Neil Mohan's account, it's all like him hobnobbing with real people. Like, it's all the big YouTube creators, all the way up to I Show Speed and Mr. Beast, and every in between, of talking about like the creator economy and like real life creators. And so the future of YouTube being like, I don't know, I mean, I guess what he means by that, but I also don't think he believes it. Like, I don't think that means the future of YouTube is AI generated content. I don't think that's the case. And even as more and more AI generated content gets out there, I feel more secure in my bet that people will want to see real people. And there was actually a great, do you know who Adam Grant is? Yeah, he has the Work Life podcast. I'll put this link. I can actually put this link in the timed links for Apple Podcasts. You'll see it in the transcript, and it pops up on the Now Playing page. But his most recent episode of the Work Life podcast was with Margaret Atwood on what AI can't replace. And you could, whether you feel like she's speaking from a different time or whatever, I think she has some good points, and it echoes what I have felt, is that even when people are reading something like a book, they prefer and want to know that they are connecting with a human being on the other side of those words, which I feel like of all the AI-generated content, you could argue that text, whether it's online or a book, that would be the hardest to tell, although she argues it's actually even not very good at writing, especially long form, that even if it's reading or viewing or listening, that the human response is that it wants to connect to another human being when it is consuming work. And so it was a great episode. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But I also think like YouTube's future is not AI generated content. It is people still connecting to real people. That's what I think.
I think he means it and believes it, because that is the thing that, like, I mean, it's funny because YouTube gets its content for free.
Yes.
99, like 7 nines worth of its content for free, right? It paid for the Oscars.
But that's about
it pays for, NFL ticket or whatever, like those types of things. But most of the content on YouTube it doesn't pay anything for. That is the secret to it's not even a secret. That is the key to its business model, right? And so the only thing that can be better than getting free content is getting infinity free content. Because if the battle really is being able to monetize eyeballs, you don't want those eyeballs going somewhere else. So you have to constantly be giving people more and more stuff. So I do think he believes it. I don't think that they want YouTube full of AI slop, right? But what I think they want is, like, Steven can only make 1 video a week, which is not true because Steven makes a video like constantly. Steven is just AI. No, but I mean, but the only thing better is, what if Steven could make 9 videos a week because AI, right? And so that is the key for YouTube. Also, I think that what you just said is true. People want to engage with human creators. I believe that wholeheartedly. When have the platforms cared what their users actually say they want, right? Meta notoriously doesn't give a rip that what we don't want is open the iPad app and have it jump me into Reels. But Meta's like, no, that's what people really want.
I think of all platforms, YouTube cares the most about that because they want watch time, less so than clicks, because watch time means people will see more ads or whatever. But like, that's still the metric they reward me as a creator for. It is not so much how many people watch 2 seconds of my video. It's how many people watch 5 minutes or 10 minutes of a video. So I think of all platforms, I think they do care about what people are going to sit and watch versus what they'll just click on. Because like you just said, Meta, Reels, TikTok, they care about 2 seconds of views. Like, they don't, I mean, yeah, ideally if you watch a Reel or a TikTok for 5 minutes, great. But that's not what the creators are aiming for on those platforms. It's very rare. But on YouTube, it's quite the opposite. I mean, on YouTube, you have 3-hour podcasts next to 1-hour videos next to my 20-minute videos or whatever about shortcuts. So I think of all platforms, I think they care. I also think maybe, and you tell me what you think, when he says AI is the future of YouTube, maybe it's the tools where AI will allow a creator like me to, I don't know, make better content. And like, I use a tool called Gling.ai for every video. It's the only way I can make as many videos as I do, because it basically edits out all it does is edit out the silences and bad takes. And it's really good at that. Is that AI? I guess, sure. I mean, Gling.ai is the website. But maybe it's that it's tools using AI that will enable creators to maximize their efforts. And rather than spend an hour editing a video, they can edit it in 20 minutes. If that's what he means, all for it. I mean, I'm using those tools like today. Do you think that's what he means, or do you think he means AI-generated content?
His 2 quotes are this: looking to the future, the next frontier for YouTube is AI, which has the potential to transform every part of the platform. The other thing he said is, I think creation is an area where AI will help enormously by making the process easier, faster, and more powerful, right? Like, so I don't know what that means, but all I know is that, like, it is, I mean, YouTube, you say YouTube cares the most. Every time I open YouTube, I get a row of shorts and I have to click don't show me shorts. And then the next time I open YouTube, there's a row of shorts and I click don't show me shorts. And then the next time I open YouTube, it says try out this new thing. And I'm like, I don't want to see that. And then the next time I open, it's got a bunch of games and I click that and I'm like, don't show me these. And the next time it does it again. Like, YouTube doesn't care. They just want me on the platform, and they will put whatever they think in front of me will do that, despite the fact that at some point I'm going to be like, I'm not opening YouTube today.
Well, that would suck. But anyway...
Right? Like,
I will say, I have just now started to get the shorts at the top of my home tab in the YouTube app on my phone. I always saw long form videos at the top of my app, and I didn't start watching YouTube shorts. I still watch more, like if I watch short form, it's on Reels and TikTok. But for some reason, the last like 2 or 3 times, like you've said, it's been weird. It's shorts right at the top. I said, don't show me shorts here. I just want to see videos. And then it happened a second time. So that is... Maybe you're right. Maybe that is unfortunate that they're... And I also wonder, like, is YouTube just trying to put 100% effort into seeing if Shorts is a viable thing for their platform? And then once they can evaluate, is this worth it or not, they'll rejigger the home tab and algorithm and say, okay, just kidding. Like, people who want Shorts will go to the Shorts tab, and people will not. I've seen arguments on social media, too, even this past week, that were like, Reels should have been a different app. Like, Reels should have been a separate app for Instagram than the main one. Maybe YouTube Shorts should be a separate app. I don't think they'll ever do that.
No one would open it.
Well, yeah, maybe fair. Anyway, I don't know.
All I'm saying is these are very smart people. Their incentives and motivation are different than yours and mine.
Yes. But I guess does YouTube need user-generated content, like creators making stuff for YouTube?
Not if AI will make it easier, faster, cheaper. But like, yes, now they do. Like that is their business model.
But if you take that, what you just said, to like the full end of the spectrum where there are no human creators and YouTube is all AI generated, no one would watch that.
Probably not, but we have been surprised before. But I think the idea would be, Steven, you're just using AI to create videos now. Steven still has a channel, and Steven is still creating things, and he's got to figure out ideas, and he's using AI, but then the AI is just making the video. I don't know what he meant. I just know that YouTube, which we think of as being the most user-generated of platforms, is like the CEO is like the future's AI. And maybe you're right. We can hope and pray that he just said it.
I see a lot of sentiment and like predictions for 2026. I think this might have been on the Verge cast 2026 predictions, and I don't know if we should do predictions or whatever, maybe in the episode in a couple weeks, but that next year there will be a bit of not backlash, but a resistance to the amount of AI generated content. Like if there was a graph for 2025 for the amount of AI generated content, I think that graph is clearly hockey stick curve. Once Sora came out, Google VO3, like once all those tools were just widely available, I feel like it's just far increased. And I don't know if that will decrease in 2026, but I feel like people are going to not want to see that much of it. I don't know. Even if it is Disney characters and Sora, I don't know. I see people predicting that, and I identify with that. I guess it's also because I'm hoping for that, so there's some like bias there, but
I think you're right, and I think that it's like there's a paradox here, which is I don't think people like AI generated video. Some of it's entertaining, right? Like the AI generated kids talking like an adult, or like the pets that the delivery driver drops off the box and the pet explodes on them. Like they're funny the first time, but then you're just like, whatever, it's entertaining. That's fine. We put that into a different bucket. But what I will say is, if you are the person at a platform and your job is to figure out whether or not we should do more or less of this, and everyone who sees the AI kid is like spends 14 seconds trying to figure out if it was AI or not, suddenly that's more engaging because they spent more time looking at it. And you don't know that the person was like, this is stupid. You just know that they spent more time looking at that than they spent on the other videos. And so there is this paradox of disconnect where people are like, I don't like this, but I had to spend more time figuring out if it was real to decide if I liked it. So what I did is I just sent a signal to the algorithm, show me more of this.
I don't know. I guess maybe I feel more and more like Carol in Pluribus. And I'm just...
Save it. We'll get to it.
Save it. All right. Well, speaking of AI, ChatGPT, called that code red a few weeks ago. It was like, we'll get 5.2 this week. Then we didn't, but then we did. GPT 5.2 is out. It's available everywhere. And all marks show that it's pretty good. So that happened. And also, ChatGPT updated images to be better and faster. I tried that. I'll show you an experiment in a moment that I did there. And also, this part I think is the most wild, and I'm probably going to make a video about it, but that developers can now submit apps to ChatGPT. And I was playing around with it late last night because this press release came out late last night, which they've talked about apps in ChatGPT for a long time. We talked about Photoshop being in ChatGPT last week. And so I did it. I connected all the things, and I was like, all right, well, how good is this? And so, I don't know. I'll have you be the judge, Jason. I did ChatGPT 5.2 image. I did Gemini 3 Nano Banana and Grok because I didn't know what to do third. I feel like Claude was probably not ready for that, nor Perplexity. So here is ChatGPT's 5.2 image, which I basically gave it a thumbnail that I made and said, make it look like the apps are flying around me. So this is what ChatGPT did. Of all the things, it, I think, did the best of even the text underneath the apps on my iPhone home screen are the actual words, whereas you'll see in the other examples, like Google and Grok make it gibberish. And also even shortcuts on my shirt, they didn't make that look crazy. And so the GPT-5 image, I feel like this was my a personal preference. This one was Google's Nano Banana or Gemini 3's thing. And you could see like some of the text now under the apps on the iPhone screen are getting jumbled. Some of them are like not real words. And so it started messing with the text there. It's a very small part. You can also see the time on my iPhone is like 9:82, which is very strange. Whereas ChatGPT actually kept the time, 9:52. The apps are still flying around, so that's kind of cool. But that's Gemini. And then Grok, some people say they like this the best. I don't find that. The iPhone screen is totally jumbled on the Groks. It also changed the apps in my dock, which someone pointed out I didn't even realize originally. It changed.
This is how you're supposed to do it. But ironically, it did not change. It just wanted the Threads one gone.
It just, oh, that is interesting. Yeah, so the apps in my dock are Safari, Threads, Messages, and Food Noms. And Google and ChatGPT kept the apps correct. Grok did the worst. It changed it to Safari, Settings, which is not even the settings icon, Messages, and Music. Totally swapped those out, which is wild. But, so I think Grok did the worst job. But anyway, what do you think? Between Gemini, ChatGPT, which one would you go with?
I don't know. I don't make YouTube thumbnails, but I think both the Nano Banana and the image ChatGPT at 5 image, whatever, they're good. Like they've gotten very, very good. My only complaint about is every time ChatGPT gets a new point version, whatever, it forgets everything about how to respond. That's the thing I don't like, is it just starts responding completely differently. And it's like, you need to put some kind of consistency, because the answer might be better, but I don't like that all of a sudden it's different. And you talked about long form content. Like I was asking it to summarize 15 things for me. Mm-hmm. It did a great job on 1 through like 7. And then it got tired. And then like 8 through 15 were like 2 sentences, and each sentence was like 4 words. It's like not what I asked you to do. So I was like, I had to break. But anyway, I think it's good that we keep moving these things forward. And when we see like a different, like the image thing, we're not comparing it as much to like something that came before. And so it's great. But when you actually just look at the models and ask it to do things, I don't like the fact that every time ChatGPT changes, it gets better in some ways, but then the way that it's doing the responses, I'm like, please, this is insane. Like, it's not the same.
Have you created custom GPTs?
I don't know what that means.
That's what you need to do, Jason, because like I have trained custom GPTs for my use cases. And in those custom GPTs, I've hard coded how to respond to me or whatever. And I can then change it to use the latest model. So like my Shortcuts GPT, I have one for my YouTube videos. I can say, all right, we'll use GPT 5.2 now, but it still responds the same way because I've been training that GPT for months and I keep pouring into it. And I will say, I tried customizing a Gemini Gem, which is like their custom GPT feature. And specifically for my YouTube, I gave it a bunch of instructions. I gave it transcripts of my videos. I told it these were high-performing titles and thumbnails of previous videos. The Gemini Gem, even after all of that, I spent like an hour trying to train it, did not give me as good a result as ChatGPT. Now, there could be, is because I've been using that custom GPT for the last year, that it just has more information about my preferences, maybe. But I would say for you, Jason, you should create a custom GPT, because I think you would get less frustrated. Like when there's a change like that, it'll stay more consistent, I think, for you.
The funniest thing was, sorry, I'm just going to say this. The last thing I want to say is so at the end of what I asked it to do, it says, if you want, the next pass could include, and it gave me 3 suggestions. Okay. So it was engagement farming. And then the last thing says, you prefer no follow-up questions unless you ask. I'm like, you literally just put 3 things I could do differently. You just didn't phrase them as a question. So it's like, I've been telling it for months, don't ask me a follow-up question unless I ask you to do a thing, because I just hate that. It's just a personal whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just found a different way to word the follow-up questions.
Yeah, so when all the shortcuts that I build, I've been using Apple Intelligence, but more so ChatGPT through the use action model. And every time I put a prompt in there, I have to tell it, only output what I'm asking, no superfluous text, don't ask any follow-up questions. And I'll use like 5 different imperatives in my prompt or whatever. And it actually does what I ask it to at that point. But what I find interesting is like, after all these updates to ChatGPT, so this is the ChatGPT app. And when you tap a plus icon for a prompt, this is the tray that you get now. And it's just getting longer and longer. not just create image and deep research, web search, agent mode. You have all of that. But now you also have third-party apps, Adobe Photoshop, Apple Music. ChatGPT can literally create an Apple Music playlist and just shove it in your library, totally in the ChatGPT app, which is wild. You can also order DoorDash and Instacart, all in ChatGPT. I'm going to do a video on this. But that Explore apps, this is what has been, I think, the most recent. The Explore app, this is an app store in the ChatGPT app. And in the app store, you have Apple Music, you have Canva, you have travel apps, you have OpenTable, Spotify, Target. And like they announced yesterday, developers can now submit apps to that app store. And I feel like this is the closest I've felt or seen ChatGPT to becoming like a platform. And I was just thinking about this, like of all the AI tools, ChatGPT is the first one that literally has an app store built into its app, which seems like kind of crazy that Apple is, I mean, they have a partnership with ChatGPT, but like that this is like copacetic. And also the DoorDash problem, like Nilay Patel always talks about, like DoorDash is never going to let these AI obfuscate the app experience. DoorDash just let ChatGPT do that. Like I was playing around with it last night. You could literally say, deliver me a burrito to ChatGPT, and it will give you places to order from in the ChatGPT app. You choose the thing, and it basically takes you all the way to the very end of the process, which is like the checkout. Same as for Instacart. I asked Instacart, give me 3 bottles of cold brew, because that's my daily intake. Just kidding. Give me 3 bottles of cold brew, and from Sprouts, you tell it from where. I say from Sprouts, and it just does it. It adds the cold brews that I normally buy to my cart, and all I have to do is press checkout and then finish that process in Instacart. Maybe that last step is what ChatGPT has convinced these apps to allow for this integration. But even Apple Music, I mean, it feels pretty crazy. Like ChatGPT of this race, I know Gemini 3, people are saying is like better than ChatGPT. I don't know how true that is for other use cases. For me, I feel like ChatGPT is still better for like YouTube stuff, but I don't know. This feels like it's kind of shot them ahead in some ways as far as becoming an assistant. I mean, this is something that I don't think Gemini on an Android phone can do. Like, I don't think you can say, order me 3 cold brews from Sprouts to Gemini on an Android phone, and it just does it. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So far, though, these are just API things. Like, this is not, it's not using the Apple Music app for you. It's not using the DoorDash app for you. It's just an API thing. It's just saying, like, send cold. It's not using any of those things. Like,
but it is. Like, I never have, like, I didn't have to open the Apple Music app at all.
Right, and neither did it. It's just an API, is what I'm saying. It's not using the apps
for you. It's not agent
you.
mode or whatever.
Right, what I'm saying is, like, these are easy. This stuff is easy. Like this
well, it's easy to
exist.
implement, but it's significant that they allowed it. It's that DoorDash and Instacart literally said, yes, make us an app in your app on the iPhone. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean, Instacart, like, do people, I don't know, maybe this is true. Do people go to instacart.com to buy groceries, or do you just go to your local, like, because we don't.
I go to the app. I go to the app all the time.
The Instacart app?
Absolutely. And there's ads everywhere.
But what I'm saying is when we order grocery, maybe Instacart's just not as big of a thing here, but like we'll just go to the Kroger app, or we'll go to the Meijer app, or we'll go to the Walmart app, depending on what we want. And then they just deliver it to us. Maybe they're using Instacart. I don't know. But like, so all I'm saying is like, that's, I don't know. Is it surprising that they're allowing it? Maybe. But like, I feel like these are the easy ones.
I mean, sure. Canva, Figma's in there. I mean, that's Spotify. I don't know. I feel like
listen, they got to do with something with all this money Sam Altman is out there raising.
So that was, I guess, so that was my thinking is like, okay, if this is a bubble, like everybody says it is, of all the AI companies, OpenAI is really good at making it not feel like a bubble, because it feels like just this past week that it is still moving so fast, and it feels a little bit like, bubble or not, Sam Altman and OpenAI is just going to brute force ChatGPT being a thing that people use. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to put so many features in it. They're going to try and move it so fast. And like, whether it's like great or not, like whether Gemini 3 is better than ChatGPT 5.2, I think in most people's minds doesn't matter. It just feels like OpenAI has the mind space. Kind of like we talked back in the day of Apple having the mind space as the innovative underdog. I feel like ChatGPT has the mind space of like the AI and the everything app. Like, as much as Elon Musk has tried to make X the everything app, it is the one thing app, rage bait. I feel like ChatGPT is coming way closer to being an everything app than anything else.
I think ChatGPT is trying to become, or OpenAI is, there's only one way through this for them, and they're trying to become too big to fail. And Sam Altman has even said that there should be a federal backstop for these AI things. But the point is, you make a connection with every single other player in the industry, you become too big to fail because your collapse would be catastrophic for everybody else. That's the only reason all this circular money is happening, is so that if the bubble bursts, they want to be the one that has to get bailed out because it would bring down NVIDIA and everybody else. Like that's the whole point of all of this stuff. And it's cool, like things happening, but there's a reason that they're doing the stuff that they're doing right now, and it's because because Google is not going to fail, right? They might fail at LLMs, or they might, but search is still it's like the most profitable business model in the universe.
Also
right?
YouTube. Right.
But YouTube at its core is a search product, right? Like I'm just saying, like search advertising, pretty profitable, going to be fine, not going to fail. Right. Neither is Meta at this point. Like, let's be honest. They're just too big to fail on their own. They don't need a bailout. OpenAI doesn't have that. They have users, but they still have not figured out how to make money off of that, because every time you use ChatGPT, it costs them money.
They lose money.
Every single time. I don't know a lot about math, but I'm fairly sure that's not a sustainable business model in the long run, right? If every time we made one of these podcasts, we lost money, right? We wouldn't do it. It's
pretty close.
Like, Steven, we just don't make anything. That's not the point. But like,
break even.
My point is, we're not paying YouTube to upload these videos. If we did, we'd be like, maybe we don't make them very often, like ever. Yes. So anyway, that's the whole reason for all of this, is they want to be the one that is too big so that when the whole bubble bursts, they have to get bailed out. Maybe not by the government, but like NVIDIA is going to be like, here's some money.
Yeah. And Microsoft and all the players. So, all right, well, we have to talk about how the world is pluribus, but real quick. So Gemini 3 Flash is out. You can use that. That was some of the things I was playing around with. I have to say, Gemini Gems, it's much more cumbersome to make than a custom GPT. But anyway, Instagram, trying to put Reels on your TV. I don't know, of all the things on my TV, Netflix, YouTube, I don't think I need Reels on my TV. I don't know.
I think that's true.
Yeah, anyway.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
And speaking of AI-generated content, the word of the year from Merriam-Webster, slop. Of course. I think if it's a fight between, did Time Magazine get the person of the year right, or did Merriam-Webster get the word of the year right, Merriam-Webster won.
I don't like that word, so I don't like the fact that they call it the word of the year.
I mean, it feels true, though. AI slop was all,
I don't know what that means, though. Like, I don't hear people using that word on the regular.
What?
You hear people using that word on the regular? Like, you and I use it in the articles we read and the podcasts we listen to, but I just don't hear, like...
People are not saying that, but I think people are saying that's AI. Like, that is, like, entered our lexicon, which is referring to slop, but it's people saying, like, that's AI. Like, even huge TikTokers will react to, like, oh, I didn't realize this video was AI, and it's, like, troubling.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I just don't hear. For example, dictionary.com's word of the year was 6'7", which makes me angry, but I understand, right? That was the thing that entered so people don't like slop, but I just don't hear normal people talking about slop, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, people are not, yeah, that's true. People. And
I've already said that word more than I want. So
I don't like saying it.
Whoa.
It's like those words like moist. Some words you just don't like to say, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Please, next topic. What are we talking about?
Next topic. Last thing before personal tech. This is a rumor because we mentioned at the top of the show, M5 iMac. The rumor is that we might get an iMac Pro again, which real ones remember the iMac Pro was a thing for 3 years, maybe. And then that was
one and done.
One and done. It never had Apple Silicon. It was like an Intel Xeon processor, I believe. But anyway, we might get an M5 Max iMac, which seems kind of weird. I feel like they would probably just do M5, M5 Pro, like the Mac Mini just has an M4 and M4 Pro option. But the iMac, the computer that I think every family would love, that Jason feels no one uses, I think yeah, sure, put a Pro or Max chip in there.
I didn't say no one uses it. I'm just saying that
you said
it is not the family
a soul on this planet knows what an iMac is. Those were your exact words.
Yes, I said only the soulless people who work in hotels in
That's terrible. No. If you work in a hotel, if you're listening to us at the front desk of a hotel, number one, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Let us know what hotel it is. But also, we appreciate you. Thank you. All right, personal tech. You had a suggestion that I think is great. I think we should keep doing. we're going to make personal tech recommendation time of anything, show, app, service, whatever. And so we'll each bring a recommendation every week. I think it's great. So why don't you hit it?
Just to clarify, I think it should be like a product, software, or an accessory, like a gadget, as opposed to like a show. We can talk about shows, but I don't think that should be like a personal tech recommendation. But anyway,
sure.
My recommendation is I tried I've been using like Paperlike for a while, right? And I think I heard this first from Marco Arment on ATP, but I tried the AstroPad Rock Paper Pen.
Pencil 3.0, yeah.
Something like that. But anyway, it's just a screen protector, right? But there's two things. It is by far the best writing experience on an iPad. You also have to change out the tip of your Apple pencil, right?
Yeah.
To work on it. It's more like a ballpoint pencil tip type thing. It's by far the best. It is the best texture. It also has the benefit of being sort of matte-ish without being a terrible experience to look at your iPad when you want to watch a video or something. But, and this is the key, it's just removable. Like it's just static cling to your screen. So if you want to watch the next episode of Pluribus, you just take it off and then put it back on, which was by far the biggest drawback of like Paperlike. Of Paperlike, of one of those screen protectors. Like you put it on, they send you two, and the reason they send you two is because you're going to screw up the first one, and so then you're going to have to try again and put on the second one, and then you're like, I never want to take this off because it was so miserable trying to put this thing on there, and then you're like, but I want to watch a show, and eventually then you get like an air bubble under it, or you get a whatever, and you have to do this one you just take off, put it back on, take it off, put it on, whatever you want to do, totally fine. The only thing you'd have to do is if you took it off, I would be very intentional about making sure that you change the tip of the Apple Pencil. They're very specific, like we don't recommend you use this on your iPad unless you have the protector on.
This looks really cool. You've experienced nanotexture iPads.
I've never used one. I've just seen them at the events.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll try it because, I had a very strong opinion about nanotexture in my M5 iPad Pro review. And now that I've been using it for the last 3 months, the actual editing experience of a podcast with the Apple Pencil against the nanotexture screen, it does feel different than the glossy. Offers like a tad bit more friction, and I do actually really like that. And so while I think I still like the glossy screen for watching things, I also realized the nanotexture, when you're looking at it straight on, it has better black levels than when you're looking at it at a slight angle. And in my video, I showed the nanotexture and glossy always at an angle because that was the most pronounced you see the nanotexture, and I felt like, well, that's the difference. But when you're looking at it just straight on, there's still a difference. Like I could still tell a difference between a glossy and nanotexture. But if I were to buy an iPad myself, which I will do eventually, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between nanotexture. But I'm curious how something like this compares to nanotexture as far as writing experience and also viewability. So does it reduce glare? Like if you're outside?
Not really. Here's the thing. The only time you should buy nanotexture is if you really have a need for reducing the glare. I don't think anybody should buy nanotexture on an iPad. I think you should buy it on every other screen that Apple makes. Like, maybe not your phone, but like buy it on your laptop. Seriously,
why the laptop, not the
iPad? First of all, it's better on the laptop, I think. And the reason let me say this way. You're not buying it on a laptop for the texture. If what you care about is the texture, you should buy one of these. Okay. You should just buy a glossy iPad and you should just put one of these on there because it is super like a better typing or not typing writing experience and whatever. The texture of it's better. That's not why you would put it on an iPad on a laptop because you're just doing it for the glare. And that's the only reason you should do it on an iPad. The difference is an iPad is really easy to like move and adjust, right? You should never be dealing with glare. I could understand people who are using it. Like, so we were at a choir concert for one of our kids and the person playing, like the accompanist, had an iPad, right? Probably using the exact same thing as you. It makes sense. You might want nanotexture in that because the last thing you want is like a bright spotlight that's, glare. What note am I supposed to play, right?
Yes.
That kind of thing would make sense. But I don't think anyone else should buy nanotexture on an iPad.
All right, well, it's $45. You get those 2 screen protectors and 2 Apple Pencil tips. So I'll put that link in the show notes. I want to get this to try, but I feel like putting that on a nanotexture iPad is going to be like...
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'd do that.
Too many levels deep, yeah. But that's really cool. And so an AstroPad, I remember them from the Luna display, which apparently they still make, but is less of a needed thing with sidecar and universal control. But it's nice to see they pivoted to a different kind of product. So, all right, cool. That's that. I have an app pick because I actually had a video come out an hour ago. It was scheduled to go live of some like 13 apps that I've been trying out that I think did liquid glass well. And this little app I've come to really enjoy. This is called Capture, Quick Notes Capture. You can get it for all your devices, even Vision Pro. And
Sold.
It's not a read it later app. You know, things like Pocket or even Reading List where you would save an article and then read the article in that app. It's not that. So if you save an article to Capture, it's not going to show you like a reader view of an article. It's going to take you back to wherever you saved that link from, whether it's an Apple News article or 9 to 5 Mac on Safari. But it's really, really fast at saving stuff, and it's lightweight and it's just easy and it looks nice. And those things alone, like I've been actually trying to use it to save more things. And so like this is what the app looks like. And so if you have I should probably turn my brightness back up because I can't adjust my auto brightness. So, saves articles, nice there. You can take notes against something to kind of have that reference. And then you can have different lists. So you can search, obviously. Then you can have different lists. And so you can have like a videos list where you save your videos there. And when you tap something, it'll just take you to that YouTube video. So really fast there. But then also, if you wanted to share something to the Capture app, it just lives in your share sheet. And it just feels super fast. Let's focus on the phone there. If I just tap the Capture app, it just that quickly, it's in Capture. And then I can actually add it to a list. And you can see there was actually a timer going down. It will go away as soon as that timer runs out. You can adjust how long that timer is, but you have enough time to add some context if you want. So if you actually start typing, it'll wait for you to finish typing, and then you can save it to Capture, so you can add a little thought. Or you can actually choose a list as you're saving something. And so I thought it was really cool. It also has great shortcuts actions. And so it's free to try. You can save 20 things on the free tier. And then the in-app purchase, there is a monthly for $2, yearly for $6. But what I really appreciate is when apps have a lifetime purchase. And so the lifetime purchase is $12. So $12, lifetime purchase. I literally did that live while I was recording the video. I just bought the $12. So it was like one-time purchase for lifetime, sold. And I included Flighty in that roundup because of the holidays. That's the app everybody should use when they're traveling. Flighty has a lifetime purchase option. Did you know that?
Yeah. And I had this conversation when I interviewed Ryan. He's like, I really should have just bought this a long time ago as a lifetime.
Exactly. It's $300 for the lifetime, but if you have used it for multiple years, like it pays to just do the lifetime.
I've been using it since I think 2020, 2019 or something like that. My oldest flights in there are like 2012, but that was pre-Flighty. It'll just import them in there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely should have.
I will say, whenever an app or service has that lifetime purchase option, if it's something I do actually use, I try to jump on it. And a prime example is Plex. I jumped on the lifetime Plex purchase years ago, which was like $75 at the time. And I don't even know if they offer that anymore. Like, I don't know if the Plex pricing, like, let me look real quick. Oh, I went to plex.tv/pricing and it gave me a 404. Like your joke
like
that we talked about in the
iPad.
pre-show. Exactly. But anyway, like I if it's doable and reasonable and something I use, I do try to do the lifetime. So anyway. Those are our picks. Those links will be down in the show notes. And last thing, tell me your Pluribus thoughts. You said you're caught up.
Yeah, it's okay. It's interesting. It is too slow.
I don't understand how it's the most watched Apple TV Plus show. That I don't get. But I get, like, I enjoy it. I like it. I have a theory about why that is, but you go ahead.
I do. I mean, they're doing a lot of marketing for it. I think it's good. I just don't think it's. I mean, Apple has a thing for weird shows. They really do. Like, I mean, Ted Lasso was not weird. Also, like, Slow Horses, not weird. Like, Silo is sci-fi, but it's like there's source material for it, so it's not like
Shrinking
weird,
isn't weird.
No, right. I agree. It's sad sometimes, but
Very
it's not
sad,
weird.
Yeah. Right.
But it's like, but this show and Severance are just very weird. And I mean, what is it? Vince Gilligan. I mean, he did a lot of X-Files stuff and like whatever. Like it's understandable.
Breaking Bad, famously, right?
Well, right. Yeah, but I'm saying he's also done some of the like some weird stuff before shows before. But anyway, I just I wanted to like it more than I do. I like the story.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear what's going to happen.
Yes.
But there are definitely some things about this show that are very grating. And that's a tough piece. Like the fact that we have to listen to this
the recording
voicemail
thing.
every time. The fact that the last episode, literally nothing happens. Like basically nothing happens the entire time.
So that is the argument I see a lot on social media. And I don't disagree. Well, I don't say nothing happens. Like the show is, I don't know if it's good at it or frustratingly gives you something at the very end of every episode. Like, no spoilers, but the end of every episode, it's like there's a slight payoff. And we got that even in the last episode. There was a moment that Carol
maybe that moment was more rewarding because of the gratingness of the rest of the episode. But I feel like that's a mean thing to do to your audience.
Kind of, yes. But also there was also the guy traveling to try to meet Carol also had a moment of payoff. We have seen over several episodes, no spoilers, how against he is these people.
Yeah, he didn't have a choice, though.
He did have a choice. He could have just died. No spoilers. Like, he could have not done anything. And it shows that he still, made the decision in that moment to give into something that he felt obviously very strongly about. I mean, I don't know if this is a spoiler. I mean, he was eating like pet food before he took the food. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that was a moment where it was like, okay, he is actually going to engage with these people, even though he felt so strongly about it. So anyway, here's my theory about the show. It is extremely slow. You could scroll on TikTok or whatever the entire episode and not miss anything. But I think in a world where everyone's attention span feels so fragmented, I think this show is popular. I don't know how mainstream popular it is, but just overall, because it does kind of not force you, but you do kind of want to just sit there and watch it, even though it's so quiet. There's not a lot going on screen. It's very like, here's 30 seconds driving in a car. Here's 5 minutes of Carol calling this line again, and you hear the recording 7 times in the same episode. There is a bit of like, I'm going to force myself to just sit here and take this in and not be distracted. And I wonder if people are doing that, or are they just scrolling TikTok while this is on in the background? Or are people actually like doing the thing where they're just looking at every frame and feeling that I'm going to slow down for a second. Like I'm going to purposely slow down and just watch these 40 minutes that could be a 30-second summary, but I want to sit here and just, I don't know, do it. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's a reaction to all the AI stuff we've been talking about the whole episode. Maybe. Jason, unconvinced, but
I think I like it, but it's annoying in some ways, and that's
it is.
And I understand some of the annoyingness is a storytelling tool, right? But
yes.
I don't enjoy that as much, and I kind of feel like I'm watching an inside joke that I don't get. It's like people think this is funny, or that's not true. I don't think anybody thinks, well, maybe there's some parts of the show that are funny.
The drone, the drone was hilarious. And that was one of the things where like you see this drone very slowly struggling to lift this trash bag, and you basically know what's going to happen. Like you see the light post right there. Like you know what's about to happen. But for some reason, watching it happen was also funny. And like there was even a payoff in that moment to watch this drone slowly lift and then hit the light post and then die, which was probably like a minute of just the single shot of this drone.
Right.
I don't know. There was like, I don't know. It was payoff.
The one thing I hope about this show, I don't think this is going to be the case, maybe a little bit, but I think there are 2 stories happening here. Okay. And I don't know which one is actually going to play out. There is the story about like, because he keeps Minosos keeps saying, I want to save the world or whatever. Right. And that's what Carol's trying to rally everyone to do, is to save the world. That's a story. I think there's a whole thing about the virus and the whatever, like all of that. But the other story that's happening is this idea that like these what do you call them? Survivors, like the 12. They can have anything they want,
right?
And they literally have 7 billion like servants, right?
Yeah.
And yet they're miserable.
Well, one isn't. The French guy's not.
I mean, we don't know. He does not appear to be miserable. We don't know what's inside his soul, Stephen.
That is true. People are saying that it's like a euphemism for the AI world that we're in. Like basically interacting with the entire world feels like AI.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe AI can bring you an ice cold Gatorade at this point. ChatGPT
can. I know that. Anyway, we're going to talk about one more entertainment property, which is F1, because Jason finally watched it since he didn't have to pay for it, although he's paying for Apple TV Plus. But you watched it in Vision Pro. I've actually used my M5 Vision Pro. It's not really mine. It's Apple's. I have to send back eventually. But I'm about to do a video with my wife, and that's part of the bonus content. I need to ask you what 3 things I should do a shared experience with my wife in a video, because that's literally what I'm doing this afternoon. So we're going to talk about that. So if you want to listen to our bonus episodes, get an ad-free, hear the pre-show, get Primary Tech Daily, all of that available at join.primarytech.fm. You can also support us directly on Apple Podcasts. The best experience, though, is at join.primarytech.fm because you get all the chapters and stuff. We'd appreciate a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Let us know. Is Safari your default browser? And you can leave us a 5-star rating and review. I think I just said that. Anyway, I just had a pluribus moment. I just repeated. I was on loop. It was a repeat with each. But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We're going to do a show. I guess we didn't really talk about it. Did we talk about recording on Tuesday?
We didn't talk about that for next week, but we should do a show. It just will not be on Thursday.
Correct. Well, we'll talk about it.
It can be, listeners, just keep an eye on your feed.
There'll be a show not out Christmas Day. It's going to be out before that.
Different day.
Probably the same thing for New Year's after that. So anyway, stay tuned. You'll still see an episode next week. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.